Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 397. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and where I sell my hand-spun yarns and patterns. It's funny, I can do this for almost 400 episodes and I still can't recite it by heart. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, October 31st. Happy Halloween. I hope that you are enjoying your day and that it is full of treats and no tricks. Unless, of course, you like tricks. I'm definitely more of a treats person. I hope that your day is going well so far. Mine has been busy with work and a variety of other things, but I made myself a really big to-do list and I have a cup of coffee and I have been going down the list and checking things off. So I don't have a ton to show you this week. I do have a few things that I'll talk about and some bonus sewing content to share. But I have been crafting quite a bit, and I'm feeling the siren call of November 1st, which is NaKniSweMo. So I'll talk about that a little bit too, and I wound up some of my yarns, so I'll share that with you. I think I've shared the yarn on a previous post, but I have now decided on a sweater pattern, and I am ready to go, and I won't lie, I might stay up till midnight tonight to cast on. So, today, as I said, I am drinking coffee. We have had a bit of a coffee revolution in this house, or I don't know that revolution is the right word. My husband in the last month or so has sort of rediscovered coffee and gotten into making it at home. I think it's because it's been fairly chilly out and he's been cold, and so he's wanted something to take down to the basement with him and keep his hands warm. There has been lots and lots and lots of coffee in our household, and he went ahead and bought some fine mesh strainers because he doesn't want to use paper filters anymore. And then he got a coffee grinder, one that goes by hand so that you can grind it up a little bit coarser so that it won't go through the mesh sieves. And so he has been making cups and pots and all kinds of coffee, and of course I have been a beneficiary of this. I still like tea for a lot of things, and I cannot drink coffee first thing in the morning. It is just too acidic for my stomach, but I do enjoy kind of a mid-afternoon cup of coffee, and there's something that with a little cream and sugar, it's just very filling in a way that tea isn't for me, and I am not a tea and milk drinker. I have tried it over and over and over again, and I for whatever reason, I am an American, I can't do it. So I kind of flip back and forth between tea and coffee, and of course, since it is the cooler months of the year, I am definitely making myself warm drinks more frequently. I am using my Trick or Treat Hello Kitty mug for the last time this year. I realize I can use it at other times outside of Halloween season, but I thought it was perfect to use it for today. And I am dressed up for Halloween in my Jack Skellington shirt from The Nightmare Before Christmas. That's about as Halloween inspired as I get. Every year I would love to make my own costume, although I don't go anywhere, so that's part of now that I don't go to an office anymore, I don't really have a good reason to. I would love to make some fun pumpkin decor, either knit some of those stuffed pumpkins or just do some really cute things. A couple of my coworkers have been making Halloween stuff all month, and I've been a little bit jealous. But of course, fall is sample knitting season, and the celebration of all things wool. So I'm always really busy, and I just kind of don't get to it in the month. But I think that was mostly what I wanted to say about Halloween and Halloween knitting. So I just put on my, and we don't really hand out candy to kids. We only have one kid left on our street, and we are at the end of a long driveway on a cul-de-sac, so nobody comes down to our house. We had candy for a few years, and we got maybe like 2 trick-or-treaters ever. And so we just decided not to keep doing it because otherwise we eat the whole bag of candy. So our Halloweens are fairly quiet. I will get to talk to my niece, whose birthday is today, and she is super excited, and of course she'll go trick-or-treating. I mean, sharing her birthday with Halloween is pretty cool because she gets a cake and candy on her birthday every year, and she gets to dress up. So that is kind of what's going on, and I am drinking, it's a French caramel roast from the Roastery, which is a local, to me, coffee house, and it has lots and lots of caffeine in it. I had 1 cup, and then I kind of topped it off with just a little bit more, so this is maybe like a half a cup, and then I probably need to stop for the day, because I probably will have had enough caffeine. They try and roast their beans in such a way that they get the maximum amount of caffeine out of them, and so if I'm talking really fast today, now you'll know why. So that's what I'm drinking today. I'll be back to tea next week. So let's talk about the knits. I have no finished knits this week, which is not surprising considering I'm in the middle of some things, but I wanted to show you my progress on the knit that I have shown you before. So I am currently working on the Snow Mantra Shawl, which is by Svetlana Gordon. It is, as far as I can tell, only available on Ravelry, so I will add that caveat, but I have added it to the show notes. I am knitting this as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and I am using only one of their bases, but 3 separate yarns. Zen Yarn Garden has this wonderfully luxurious base called Serenity Silk Plus, which is 70% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk. And it is a very light fingering, kind of bordering on a lace weight, because it is 500 yards to approximately, I think it's about 100 grams, although the skeins are a little bit heavier. So that is Serenity Silk Plus. They also have a second put-up of Serenity Silk Plus, which they offer either in blanks, like sock blanks or yarn blanks, basically where the yarn is knit up into, usually using a machine, it is knit up into a flat piece that looks a little bit like a big scarf, and then they can hand paint the dye onto that scarf, and then you work with it by unraveling it. And the other put up that they do is sometimes they will unravel that, rather than giving it to you as a blank in one long piece, they will wind it up into cakes. And their Luxe Gradient cakes are the same base. It is the Serenity Silk Plus. It is just dyed in gradient form. And the cake or the blank are actually oversized. So it is 150 grams and 750 yards. So that's the other one that I am using. I am a sample knitter for Zen Yarn Garden. I do get paid to knit these items. I do not receive any compensation based on you buying the kits. So yes, I'm sharing them with you. Yes, they do pay me for my time, and they do send me yarn so that I can knit up these samples. But this is not any kind of an affiliate agreement, just so I thought I'd make that clear, because sometimes that's not always clear in podcasts. So you buying things does support my work, but it doesn't directly benefit me. So the colors that I am using are, I am using natural. I am using kind of a, for lack of a better term, a bubblegum pink. Which at least as far as I can see, is kind of blowing out on the monitor. But those are the 2 main colors that I am using. And then the contrast color is, like I said, a sock blank, and or a gradient blank. And so I have worked through the first part of the blank. As you can see, there used to be a lot more green here, and I will show it to you in the shawl. I am just coming up on the really interesting portion of this blank, where the greens go into browns and pinks and kind of other very autumny feeling colors. This whole section screams autumn to me. And then I will go back out through the greens into the kind of tealy greens. So that is, the other half of the blank looked very much like this one, or the section that's missing of the blank looked very much like this one. And so I am just about to get into a lot of the colors. So let's show you what I have so far. This shawl is very repetitive. So the first couple sections are like, what am I doing? I don't understand. And then as soon as you figure it out, you just do it a million times more. So that's kind of the nature of this. Basically, the techniques used are, there is some sort of extreme increases and decreases, and that is to create some of the subtle shaping in the pattern. There is some short row working, which creates small color bursts and kind of accentuates the shape that the pattern takes. And then there is sections of I-cord, by which you work an I-cord, which is basically an I-cord cast off, and then you have to pick up your stitches from that I-cord cast off. So like I said, every section is very repetitive, but there are small variations, and of course you get to see what the yarns do. So last time I talked to you, I think I had not put in the first pink section yet, but this is the Snow Mantra Wrap. So as I said, you are working sections of extreme increases and decreases. You have some short row sections in there where you're combining your colors, and then you have that beautiful I-cord. So I am now, I am almost halfway through the repeats. So I have done, which is not to say that I'm always halfway through the knitting, because this is a triangular shawl, and because of the crazy increases and decreases, it continues to increase to a rather large number of stitches. I currently have, I think about 350 stitches on the needles when I'm picking them up, and I will get to over 700 before I finish. So I still have a ways to go. I'm maybe a third of the way done with the knitting, but I'm not really sure. I have not done the math. But I am basically halfway through working the pattern, and I am just about to start another pink section. So I will be adding that in probably this evening. So basically what I am doing is I'm alternating between the white and the pink for the background colors, and then I am consistently using the gradient to do the I-cord and kind of the main feature items. You can kind of see, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can kind of see that up at the top, it's kind of very dark green, greeny blue, and then it gets a little bit lighter here. And then I am in kind of some of the grassy greens, and I am moving towards that section that is all fall related. So I'll be interested to see how the colors show up over time. I can definitely see in person what the gradient is doing, because up here it is very, very bluey green, and then in the midsection you get in a little bit more green than blue, and then down here you're getting into kind of very, I guess if I hold that there you can see that there's like some tealy greens and stuff like that, and then I'm getting into like yellower greens before I get into the section. So this is coming along nicely. It's not working up quite as fast as I would like, of course, because the rows are getting much, much longer. But it is a fun knit, and now that I've got the hang of it, it is a fairly easy knit. I won't say that it's not. It does have its challenges, but like I said, each section is basically the same set of rows over and over again, with just some subtle variations. So basically you are following a repeat through each section, and the difference is that basically on the increases and decreases it gets a little different each row, and they're adding more of them as you're growing. But otherwise it's kind of the same pattern over and over and over again. And so once you get through the first 3 or 4 times, you're like, oh, I got this. It's just a question of doing it over more and more stitches. So yeah, that is going to be a really, really fun knit, and this will be eventually available as a kit. And my assumption is that Zen Yarn Garden will be doing a knit along for it as well, or at least a set of tutorial Tuesdays on the techniques in the shawl. So if this is something that interests you, keep an eye out. I will let you know when, so it will probably take me another few weeks to finish the sample, another month or so to get it photographed. My assumption is that the kits will be available starting in the new year, and that if we do a knit along or some tutorial Tuesdays based on that to explain the techniques used, that will happen in January or February. So, you know, keep an eye out on my Instagram. I will let you know when it's available. You can always email me or message me on Ravelry or Facebook or Instagram or wherever else if there is something that you're interested in knitting that you've seen me knit, and I can tell you when it will be available or notify you when it is. So again, that is Snow Mantra by Svetlana Gordon, and that is in Zen Yarn Garden's Serenity Silk Plus. So the other thing that I started this week that I kept saying I needed to start, and I wanted to do other things, but I held fast and I did start it, and I don't have a ton of progress to show you, but this was one evening's knitting, and I am working on a pair of plain socks as a holiday gift for my nephew Miles. And I showed you the yarn a week or two ago. This is from Forbidden Fiber Company, and I bought it because it was very kind of winter holiday themed without, hang on, I'm just getting tangled. It was very winter holiday themed without being, I really should have, bad podcaster, I wasn't really prepped for this. It was winter holiday themed without, I have My center pool ball is kind of exploding on me, is what's happening here, and I'm just trying to tuck it all back in so that I don't make a mess. So it was a ball of kind of wintry themed, foresty themed yarn. It was a white background, and then it's got bits and bobs of dark greens and almost dark, it's got dark foresty greens, but it's also got some blues, almost like a blue spruce or a blue fir. And if you've ever been around kind of a conifer forest, you probably, are they conifers? I can't even remember. Like firs and spruces. If you've ever seen like a forest made of a variety of different kind of evergreen trees, you'll notice that some of them come in green, some of them come in dark green, some of them come in light green, some of them lean towards kind of blue. And so that's what this yarn completely reminds me of. I thought it could be a subtle kind of winter socks or even holiday socks. And so when I was going through my skeins trying to figure out what I should knit Miles socks in, I found this and I thought it would be nice. The yarn is knitting up not quite how I expected it to. I expected it to be kind of a white background and then be able to see the pops of green. And as I look at it now, it's definitely green, but it almost gives off like a pale blue background. I don't know if it's just because those are the tones that are in there. It definitely has other tones in it. I guess I should just show you what I'm talking about. I am knitting a top-down sock. I am just through the heel flap and heel turn, so I am just about to start the gusset. And this is a sock for my nephew, who is, he just turned 6 a little bit ago, so these are short and sweet, and I should be able to pull them out fairly quickly. As you can see, it kind of gives the overall sock a bit of a blue pallor. I can't tell if that's what it's showing on here. There really are bits of like tealy blue and forest green, and then there are some bits in there where it's almost a little bit yellow. I can't see if you can see all those colors on the screen because I have the monitor on my camera the screen turned facing me, but sometimes it kind of blows out. So anyway, it is knitting up most agreeably, although like I said, not exactly like I thought it was going to. And I don't have a ton of pooling, just a little bit. And so I think this is going to be a really nice neutral sock for him. And then I will have the other half of the skein to decide what I want to do with it for myself. I might make myself some socks, or I might go ahead and turn it into a hat. Because my nephew is still little, I can definitely get a pair of socks for him and a pair of socks for me or something else for me out of this skein. So I am looking forward to using it. Maybe I could find like a green something to... Ooh. I have some green, I think it's like an alpaca silk lace, and I wonder if I could hold this with the alpaca silk lace to make a really nice hat. And then get a fun pom-pom that matches. Okay, I know what I'm going to be doing with the leftovers. So that is what I am working on this week, and hopefully I will make progress on it this week, and I really want to crank these out soon. I know I have been talking about holiday gifts, and the one thing that's a little bit unique about my family, I guess, sort of, I am Jewish, so we did not grow up celebrating Christmas, and so my family basically makes Thanksgiving our big family holiday, and I realize that Thanksgiving is fraught with problematic historical significance, because basically it commemorates the British colonizing the United States and getting rid of the Native Americans. So I really do not want to speak to glorify Thanksgiving. My family uses it as an occasion to get together and have a holiday meal and to enjoy each other's company, because we do not meet up on Christmas. So I guess that's where I'm going with that. So it has become a tradition in our family to do that. We end up often not seeing each other for Hanukkah. Hanukkah is not the Jewish equivalent to Christmas. In fact, I could explain this a little bit more. Hanukkah commemorates something entirely different, but it is confusing because it happens sometimes around Christmas. The other confusing thing about Jewish holidays is the Jewish calendar is based on a lunar year, or a lunar month. So every month is 28 days, and the way that they make up for that at the end of 4 years is they throw an extra month in there every 4 years. It's very exciting. So the reason I'm explaining all of this is because, so Hanukkah happens at different times every single year because it is based on this lunar calendar, so it is constantly shifting. Sometimes it is close to Christmas, sometimes it is close to Thanksgiving. My family only gets together on Thanksgiving. So what I'm trying to get at is we exchange our holiday gifts with my parents and my sister and her husband and the kids on Thanksgiving. So part of the reason that I have been so wrapped up in making holiday gifts and finishing socks for the kids is because my deadline to actually finish socks for holiday gifts is really Thanksgiving. So that's why I'm so focused on I really need to get these socks done, because I really only have a couple more weeks until I meet up with everyone. So that's kind of the nutshell. For those of you who've been with me for a while, I think I've talked about this a little bit before, but I've never really kind of wrapped it up in that neat bow to tell you precisely why I am always working on my gifts so early, and I am so concerned about getting them done before Thanksgiving. That's because I don't really, I do sometimes, so, okay, my husband is not Jewish, so we do celebrate Christmas now, and we celebrate Christmas with my in-laws. And so sometimes I have knitted goods that are more for the Christmas time, or kind of really the traditional holiday time. But, so yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell why I'm so obsessed with finishing these things. I have decided that I am going to finish this pair of socks for Miles, and then I'm going to stop because I already have plenty of things to fill their gift boxes with. So I think I'm more or less done crafting for the season. I think, unless I decide to make a bunch of hats and send them off to my niece and nephew on my husband's side and their significant others, friends, etc. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm just gonna take like 2 minutes briefly to talk about NaKniSweMo. Tomorrow kicks off NaKniSweMo, which started as a Ravelry event. However, you can participate from anywhere. NaKniSweMo is National Knit a Sweater in the month of November, and it is closely modeled after NaNoWriMo. I should say, even though it's NaKniSweMo with K-N-I in it, you can certainly crochet a sweater as well. And the prerequisites for participating in the contest portion of this, which is participating on Ravelry and being eligible for donated prizes, is that you must knit or crochet a sweater of 50,000 stitches. You cannot start before November 1st, and you must finish by November 30th. If you are interested, you can check out the NaKniSweMo group on Ravelry. I will provide a link in the show notes, but I will also indicate that it is a link to a Ravelry group. If you would like to participate but don't care about prizes, or you feel that your prize at the end of November is a beautiful new sweater, you can participate in any form of media you would like, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere, and you can just tag your knits with NaKniSweMo and the year 2022, and I always check the tag, so I will come and ooh and ah over your knits wherever you choose to share them. Unfortunately, I cannot put you in the prize pool. While I am a moderator in the Ravelry NaKniSweMo group, it is not my group. I do not own it. I sort of loosely enforce the rules, but I do not make them. So that is just where the contest has traditionally been held. So I think that's it. I will tell you, because I'm a moderator, I never ever compete for prizes. To me, the prize is taking a month to knit myself something special and having a new sweater. And sometimes when I have been really handy, I have been done before Thanksgiving. And so if not, I get to use the Thanksgiving weekend as a chance to just work on my sweater as we watch TV, hang out, eat, enjoy each other's company, and of course, drive back and forth. So some years we actually drive out to California to see my parents, and that takes us multiple days each way. And to me, that is my guilty pleasure knitting time, because if I have managed to finish my gift knits and sample knits, generally what I do is I leave everything work related at home and I take a week to just work on my sweater. This year we are only going as far as Chicago, which obviously gives me far less knitting time. I mean, it's still a nice chunk, but it's about a 7-hour drive compared to a 3-day drive. So I will not get as much knitting time in on my sweater as I would hope, but I still do hope to complete a sweater this month. So let's talk about my sweater. When I was in Virginia Beach about 2 months ago, I ended up stopping by is it on the tag? I always forget the Yarn Club. The Yarn Club in Virginia Beach. I have been there before. It is a lovely yarn shop with all kinds of fun yarns. They have yarns that are knit specifically for them, yarns from local dyers, yarns that are dyed specifically for them, yarns from local dyers, and a huge selection of indie dyed yarns. Just beautiful, beautiful yarns. When I walked into their DK worsted weight room, I found two colors. They were hanging next to each other on the shelf, and I could not resist putting them together. These are from K-Nerd String. They are her MCN DK weight, which is her merino cashmere nylon. It is absolutely luscious. I want to live in this sweater forever and ever and ever. These two were next to each other, and I decided I wanted to use them. They are Sexy Time and Sugar Magnolia. So I might be calling this my Sexy Time sweater, but I'm not sure. That kind of connotes something that I don't necessarily mean by it, but I do love this. This speckled yarn has, it's definitely got the pink speckles in it, but it's also got yellow and green and blue and a variety of other colors. It is really, really stunning. I have wound up my first two cakes so that I am ready for cast on. I have done a quick swatch. I did pull it out, and I am ready to go come tomorrow night, or as I said, I might end up staying up till midnight and seeing if I can cast on tonight. My sweater that I have chosen is I am going to be knitting Stripes by Andrea Mowry, or should I say Stripes, because it's all in capitals, or at least I've seen it all in capitals with an exclamation mark. It is a stripy sweater, basically a top down in the round with yoke increases, stripy sweater, and Andrea Mowry knit it in a variety of ways, and so the pattern can be knit in a variety of ways. Hers was done with a mix of all kinds of colors, so the one, at least in the picture, in the pattern, like the first picture that is featured in the pattern on Ravelry, is a number of different colors, and she just knit her thin stripes all the way down. She also knit a two-color version, which is what I'm going to be doing. She knit it in like 2 shades of green, and it was really lovely. The sweater can be knit as a cropped sweater or a full-length sweater. You can knit it with 3/4 sleeves. You can knit it with full sleeves. You can just kind of, this one is kind of a blank canvas for you to make it whatever you want it to be. I think what I am going to do is, well, I should say, I'm not going to knit it cropped. I am definitely going to knit long sleeves, and I am toying with seeing how far I can get and if I can make it tunic length. Basically, my thought is that I'm going to do all of the yoke increases. I'm going to separate for the sleeves and the body, and then I'm going to go back and do the sleeves right away so that I can finish all the rest of my yarn in the body, and I can keep going as far as I would like to go. My plan is to use the darker color. I have basically equal amounts of both. My plan is to use the darker color for the ribbing at the neck, at the cuffs, and at the bottom of the sweater. So I will likely have a little bit of this one left over, because obviously I will not use it up in equal amounts if I'm doing all the edging in this color. But my plan is to basically use up every bit that I can and make myself a sweater that might be long enough to wear with leggings in the winter. I would be just fine if I ended up with tunic length. If I don't end up with tunic length, that is fine too. I can't remember what the, let me pull the tag. This is the tag for K-Nerd Strings, and she is actually not out of Virginia Beach. She is out of Colorado, but these colors just could not let me leave them in the shop. And it is 231 yards, so I have approximately 1,400 yards, which should be enough to make a slightly longer sweater. I don't know if I'll get tunic length out of it, but we shall see. So I should say the Stripes sweater was initially knit in a sport weight yarn. However, the gauge for the sweater is like 21.5 stitches to the inch, and I generally drop down a couple needle sizes. So I am hoping that I can get gauge with a DK weight. I have seen several people make it in a DK weight. I think in the sport weight it would just be a slightly looser feel, whereas mine may be a little bit denser, which is fine because I do live in winter. I am going to play with it a little bit, and because it's also top down, I can make some adjustments as I go. I am likely going to make I think I'm likely going to make the size that is intended for me and possibly end up with just a little bit of extra ease, and that is fine because, as I said, I kind of want to make it tunic length. So we shall see. By next week, I will have something to show you. I am super excited about this, and I will have to use it as kind of a carrot to get through some of my other knitting, but also pay attention to some of my other knitting because I do have things I need to finish. So, quick break in the middle for some sewing content, then a few minutes of spinning, and we will be done for the day. I had a little fun sewing this weekend and did a little bit of new to me things, so I just thought I would talk about it a little bit. I am not a sewist. I cannot sew in a straight line to save my life. I have in my lifetime made some pajama pants and made some A-line skirts that were super, super simple. I did actually piece together one quilt top, and I did not quilt it. I turned it into basically a duvet cover by making it sort of like a pillowcase. And that was, I sort of forgot that I did that, but I did that when I was in college. So in general, I am not a sewist. While I would love to make my own clothes, I am not very patient when it comes to sewing, and I also, sewing is problematic for me because it is very exacting, in the sense that when you are knitting, if you end up with an extra stitch or you end up with not enough stitches, you can either rip it out and fix it, or you can knit two together or make one, without changing the overall look and feel of your garment. So I find knitting to be very forgiving. Sewing, on the other hand, depending on what you're making, can be very unforgiving in that if you cut your fabric wrong, you're just screwed. So I have always found sewing a little bit frustrating. I will also say that part of it is that I am not an experienced sewist. So unlike with knitting, where I can pick up any pattern or any technique and usually figure it out pretty quickly and feel like I have a good mastery of the skills, I obviously do not feel that way with sewing. I know that were I to sew more, I would gain more of an understanding and be much easier with it. However, I don't think I can start a new hobby because I really, really, really do not need a fabric stash. So the impetus of this sewing weekend was that a friend of mine bought some fleece, and it was dinosaur fleece, and it was so much fun that her husband was sort of giving her puppy dog eyes about wanting a pair of pajama pants in it, and she was like, no, that's ridiculous. And then she turned around and said, I'm going to buy some fleece and make him a pair of pajama pants for Christmas. So she decided that she wanted to make herself a matching pair, and I said, oh, that would be so fun. I should totally make myself a pair and then make Wes a pair, and we can match as well. So we put in a really big order for dinosaur fleece, and she came over yesterday and we sewed ourselves pajama pants. Now, I used a pattern from Butterick. It is a pretty old pattern. I think I got mine, well, so mine came from McCall's, which is now their paper pattern warehouse is closed, and mine came through a Craftsy class that I bought ages and ages and ages ago, and I had made them before, so I had templates ready to go in my size, and then I just needed to trace additional templates in Wes's size. So I managed to, oh, the other thing is that my friend who came over yesterday has a Singer serger, and her serger actually cuts the fabric as it goes. And so we played with that yesterday, and I made myself a fabulous pair of pajama pants. And I have to say, it was such a nice afternoon of sewing, and I am almost done with 2 pairs of pajama pants. I think a couple of the things that saved us a lot of time were that we serged seams yesterday. So instead of sewing the seams and then trimming the edges or pinking them or cutting notches where the curves were, we just went ahead and serged it, and we were basically done with the seams. They will not fray. And then we also did not have to do any ironing and pressing. Many people who do a lot of sewing will tell you that half your time is spent ironing and pressing your seams and kind of making things look good and setting yourself up for the most precise sewing. However, you can't really iron fleece. I don't know if you would literally melt it, but I do know that fleece isn't really ironable, and it's also, it's a synthetic, at least what we were using is a synthetic fabric, so it's not going to make that much difference to it. So what ended up happening was I cut out 2 pairs of pajama pants, and I finished almost all of it. I have a little bit of, I have to fold the waistband down on 1 pair of pants, and I need to hem the pair of pants that is for Wes, because I'm going to surprise him, but I think I'm going to wait to hem them until after he opens them so that they can be just right for him. So, I just wanted to show you my pair of pajama pants. Like I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. They are oversized, they are cushy, and they have dinosaurs on them. So they are really, really, really warm, and of course they do not breathe because it's fleece. I didn't really think about that. However, when it gets really, really cold here, I'm going to be enjoying Christmas in my dino pajama pants, and my husband is getting a pair as well. The thing that I still have to do to mine, I should have done it before, but I didn't think about it before, is I could have added in, so the pattern, the way the pattern is written, it actually doesn't come with inset pockets, although I have made pajama pants with inset pockets before. However, because the fleece is so thick, I decided I did not want to do inset pockets with the fleece, just because it is, it would add so much bulk at the waist and where the pockets were that I just didn't want to do that. Usually it's not a problem if you're just using cotton fabric or even like flannel, but I really did not want to make bulky pockets. So I am going to add a patch pocket right here on the thigh so that I can put my phone in it or anything else that I'm carrying, but those are my dino pajama pants. So, last 2 minutes. I know this one is a long one. I'm going to get right in and out of spinning. I do have a finished skein of handspun yarn, although I just washed it last night, so it is still a little bit wet. It will not be up in the shop till tomorrow. This is the fiber that I showed you, I think, multiple weeks ago now. This is from Gritty Knits. It is 100% superwash merino in the colorway Kaleidoscope. And I think I explained last week that I was doing a fractal spin so that I could get some sections of the fiber to line up where you can see kind of the blues and the reds and the pinks in there, but I also have lots of sections in this fiber where you can see the colors overlap. This would be excellent for socks because it is 100% superwash merino, meaning it is soft and sleek and it will not felt. It does not have nylon in it, so if you are hard on your socks and you tend to wear through them, that may not be the perfect sock yarn for you, but this is fun and cheerful. It would also be great for kids knits, and this should be up in the shop in the next day or two. Keep an eye on my Instagram or just check out the shop, and that will be up there soon. I am working on another spin from Hello Yarn. I showed this one to you last week and I thought it was thematically appropriate because it is called Tooth and Claw. It is South American merino. It is a South American merino blend, and it is not superwash. It is in kind of fall colorways, plums and harvest golds, and I am almost all the way through the second bobbin on that one. I am still spinning the singles. I think I have maybe about 3/4 of an ounce left, and then I can go ahead and ply that, and I should have that to show you for next week, which means it's time to pull something else out to spin. I have a Rubbermaid bin where I hoard precious fibers. And I do say hoard, it is a little bit like the dragon's hoard. It is the one place that I stick the braids that I am not sure what I want to make with them, that I do want to keep either for myself or because they are so precious, I'm just not ready to spin them yet. And once or twice a year, I try and look through the bin and take something out to spin it, because I feel like there is no use in hoarding your riches so that you die with them, because when you die with them, you can't take them with you. So I went into my hoarding bin and pulled out something fun, and this one's definitely going in the shop. The reason this one is in the hoarding bin is because the dyer is no longer dyeing. I am spinning a braid that I got from 2 If by Hand in their club. They were a duo, and I think for a little while a trio of ladies who dyed gorgeous fibers, and I was so sorry when they moved on. Many of them had other careers, several of them had other careers, and so they just didn't find it practical to dye anymore, but I do miss them and their color sense. The yarn that I am going to be spinning up is Mer People, and it is super fine merino. It is not superwash, but it is super fine merino, so it will be super soft, and it is in lots of purples and plums with bits of other colorways in there. So I have been holding on to this braid for years. This is well marinated stash, and I will be working on spinning it up probably starting sometime this week, and this will definitely be going into the shop. So if these are your colors, keep an eye out for them. So that is all I have for you on this Halloween of 2022. I hope that you are doing well, that you are enjoying your fall, and that you're crafting your crafting inspiration is, or your crafting mojo is at an all-time high. I am looking forward to diving into more projects this month, and hopefully finishing some things up. And I feel like the month is definitely going to go fast with Thanksgiving and travel and all the things. I feel like we're on a breakneck pace to the end of the year. So I wish you a wonderful week ahead, happy crafting, and I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you soon. Bye.